I spent a fortune having this washed and waxed yesterday. But we had a little visitor last night that left all kinds of paw prints, muddy paw prints. That's alright. I'm going to catch you tonight. Must have sticky paws. You got the side of the car too. You're going to get a bucket of water on your head if you don't get off that car. Warm. Shoo. That's not what shoo means. So we're back to our secret garage to take a closer look at the 2016 Scion FR-S. This is a very nice looking car, especially in this bright red color. For those old enough to remember, this vehicle reminds me an awful lot of the original Nissan 240Z. A nice lightweight two-seater, geared mainly for performance, without luxury or high price tag. Unlike other YouTube testers who only drive their cars during the day, we also test them at night to see how the headlights perform, and we're going to get to that right now. Now that the sun's gone down, we'll take this out and test the headlights. Here we have a wall at 100 feet away. This is low beam, pretty bright, but the light does drop off a little low. Here's the high beams, more than adequate. Here we have a warehouse 300 feet away. The high beams light it up quite well. The low beams don't reach, but are more than adequate for city driving. Under the hood is a flat 4-cylinder rated at 200 horsepower. Subaru designed the engine. Toyota did the fuel system. The best of both worlds. It's rated at 25 to 34 mpg with the automatic transmission. Later on in the video, we'll give you the real mileage that you get on the street. The base car comes with a 6-speed manual transmission, or for about $1,000 more, you can get this excellent 6-speed automatic, which has a sport mode, a snow mode, or a nice set of paddle shifters on the steering wheel, where they belong, not on the steering column where they don't belong. To get any power out of this car, you really have to rev the engine up. It's a small displacement, high revving, 7,500 RPM power plant, and the maximum torque doesn't kick in to around 3,500 RPM. So if you're looking for a 0 to 60 time, the manual car is faster at around 6.5 seconds. The automatic will be slightly slower at around 7.5 seconds. On the other hand, if you're racing around tight corners, putting the automatic car in a sport mode, or using the paddle shifters, which means you don't have to take your hand off the steering wheel either way, the automatic car will be quicker than the 6-speed manual car. So it depends on what type of driving you're doing. Don't dismiss the automatic. It does have its advantages. On tight roads like this, the automatic transmission works better, so you can keep your hands on the steering wheel instead of a shift knob. Bouncy little ride, ain't it? But it's a sports car, so quit bitching. We mentioned earlier that the gas mileage on this automatic transmission car was 25 in the city and 34 mpg on the highway. If you get the 6-speed manual car, it drops to 22 mpg in the city and 30 on the highway. Something to consider if you're buying one of these. This is a limited production car, so for 2016, the amount of improvements are limited, and most are found in the interior. We get a bit more color on the seats. And standard, we get a bigger screen with a backup camera. Unfortunately, there is a flaw that was on the earlier models that carries over on the 2016, and that is the sun visors, which do not slide. So when the sun comes through this glass opening, your face is going to get baked. A very simple fix. I don't understand why they don't do so. As far as the rest of the interior, we get a great gauge cluster. Lots of useful information here. The glove box has plenty of room if you remove that giant monster phone book sized owner's manual, like so. This is what a properly designed climate control system should look like. 3 simple knobs. The vent control on the left, the speed in the middle, and the temperature on the right. It doesn't get any better than this. All these newer cars with these My Touch and slide rule and all this nonsense, unneeded. This is the way it should be done. And on the audio system, this is the way it shouldn't be done. Fortunately, we do get a knob for the volume, but these dinky little buttons that an insect would have a problem finding. You're driving on the road, bouncing around, these buttons are even harder to find. This seems to be a trait in all Scion cars, and for some reason Honda cars too, but that's the way it is. You just have to live with it. I'm told the second row seating is made for real people, but not if they have legs. This is for pet poodles and groceries only. But hey, it's a sports car, so there's nothing to bitch about. Trunk size is adequate considering the size of the car. You can always get more room if you want to take the spare tire and jack out. Not a good idea if you're taking a long trip. Before we get to the driving part of this test, there's one thing I want to talk about, and that's the price. $26,000 or $1,000 more for the automatic transmission. But there's a difference between this and other vehicles. Unlike other manufacturers that give you a low price and add on tons of options to jack the fee up, the Scion FR-S is basically a one-price car, loaded up with about everything right off the showroom floor. I can't read it all, but this is a lot of stuff for the money. Unfortunately, there is one exception to that, and believe it or not, even at this price, we do not get satellite radio, just AM, FM. You've got to be kidding me. Satellite radio is something that's standard now on even the cheapest Korean cars. Yes, the dealer can install it after the fact, but you shouldn't have to. It should come with the car. That's one improvement for 2016 that should have been done right away. But once again, they didn't. And once again, you can fix it after you buy the car, but it's kind of silly to me. As far as price, I also must point out there are plenty of factory goodies you can get from the dealer and might be tacked on at the showroom. For instance, we have a sway bar kit on this car, $550. The Toyota Racing Development air filter package at $75. There's also a Ram Air induction Toyota Racing Development air system at $550. $11.50 for this TRD sports exhaust system, so all the guys at the burger stand can hear you coming. Decent acceleration, good brakes, and a very loud exhaust. But that's what you paid for, right? If you're reading other reviews, you might have noticed a lot of so-called professional journalists are complaining that because this car has in their words, a choppy ride. Well, hey, it's a light 2,800-pound sports car. What did you expect, right? Like a Cadillac? And really, it's not that bad. There are a lot of German sports cars that ride a lot rougher, and they don't complain about that. So it's really not a problem. Another complaint you see voiced is the lack of sound deadening material, which results in a lot of noise coming in the cabin. Well, of course, if you added a bunch of sound deadening material at around 100, 200 pounds, then they'd be complaining because the car is too heavy. This is a sports car, once again. It's not that serious to have a bit of noise in the cabin. I certainly can't complain about the fuel economy. For the most part, I've been getting 27 mpg in heavy city driving. It just dropped to 25.9 because of all the acceleration testing we've been doing. But that's still pretty good. Far above the 25 mpg advertised on the EPA figures. And we will be taking this out on the freeway for a second fuel economy test coming up. God, that is the ugliest Lincoln I've ever seen. Ugly! Must be going to a funeral. If you wanted the highway mileage, here it is. 32.3 mpg. Cruising at 70 miles per hour plus for the past 85 miles. More to come. Okay, fuel economy test, part 3. Did a 50-mile trip, keeping around 65 miles per hour. This is the best we're going to see, 37.3. If you're ever driving by the town of Yarnell, population 15, and 50 very big toads. Man-eating toads. This is what the FRS was designed for, taking corners on twisty roads. At 26 grand, the Scion FR-S is a super bargain. A far better value than what you get from the European cars, and a good alternative to the Chevy Camaro and Ford Mustangs. If you can't find an FR-S at your local Scion dealer, you can go to the Subaru dealer where they sell the same basic car as the BRZ for about the same price.